to do it from that?
Well, a very disappointing first half, really, I think. Laid the platform for it, didn't it? I know we chose to run into the wind, but we did that last week as well. But we ran into a different standard of opposition today. They played very well on the short sides, made good yardage, were miles too strong for us in the forwards by way of working us on the ground and holding us down and slowing our game down, which was obviously a plan that I would do if I were playing against us as well. Our shift still made ground, but they covered it pretty well because we weren't really punching enough ground in holes into them. So when we went wide, they were ready for us, but we still made good ground. We have a pretty good back line group of guys in this club, but we just didn't do enough in the middle.
The fact that they scored so many points on a roll in that first half, was that based on their domination in the middle?
To a degree it was, yeah. Some poor selection passes from us, although we led the penalty count in the first half. The intercept to Dixon, something we talked about, not throwing a long ball in front of him, and he took it. The winger got another one, their other winger got another one, not a similar play, but it bounced off us onto him. He regained it before he knocked it on. There's 12 points, so that in itself changes the scoreline somewhat. But in saying that though, that aside, we didn't play well enough in the middle. And I'm not taking it away from our backs. We made some poor decisions out wide as well.
They had a lot more ball, didn't they? I looked at the stats, they had 10 extra sets in the game. That's 10 minutes with the ball, effectively.
Yeah.
So they were tearing you out.
Yeah, I think we lost Big Latu also to a head knock. He couldn't come back. So we lost an interchange there. As a head bin, he should have been off initially. But he reported a neck injury, not a head injury. So so at the end of the day, that was that cut us down one as well. But we just weren't physical enough in the middle, I don't think, and we need to look really hard at what we're going to do in that situation.
That's going to be an ongoing thing. You mentioned about what you'd do if you saw the Widnes. There's got to be a real learning curve here now. That's what you're going to get at Bradford.
Well, you get it from all sides in this division. You've got most of the sides in this division play a tough middle game. They work hard. Not every referee referees it according to today, though, and that is a slow play the ball. There's a very slow play the ball all day. We did it to them, or tried to, in many occasions, and got away with it. And they did it to us all day. They were very consistent in their contact, though, was better than ours when it's all said and done. You can see the difference in the way they made collisions with us, not only when they're running the ball, when we were when we were running the ball, their collisions were much stronger, and therefore they won the ground, and they deserve to, in my opinion.
In the middle, win the game.
Well, that's always the case. Yeah.
How do you feel the two lads from Morrison today? Obviously explained there about Latu having to come off, but
well, it's a difficult one on him. He went out at the top part of the game when they were getting a bit of a roll on and had some ball, and we'll never know now after the head bin whether or not he would have made a difference as the game went on. Declan didn't help. He twinged. He got a bit tight in the left hamstring before in the warm up, so we'll like that about even putting him out. But we did. He didn't run much, but he directed the game a little bit. It's a bit difficult coming in on one training session. And I probably look back and say I probably should have started Joey Lyons at 7 and then used Declan to come on rather than the other way around. But although, and that's not a slight against Declan, it's just a matter of just not enough time with us. He could only come they only came for the one session yesterday. So, but yeah, I'm happy with the arrangement we've got with Warrington. The big thing will be obviously bringing people in and them understanding our game. But all I wanted was an effort. They both put in an effort. It's not. I'm not pointing any fingers at those two. It was the majority of our players really, I think, felt reasonably comfortable about their last 2 weeks and went out there and then got a bit of a shock early, at the physicality of London, and then particularly their edges. Their back rowers back rows and centres really put a lot of pressure on our two edges for yardage, and made really good yardage down those sides. And we talked about it was going to happen, but of course we didn't move up hard enough to stop it from happening. It didn't win the collision. Seafield, they came around and got us on the back foot all the time, and that's exactly the tactic they played last week, and they did really well. They came back in last week's game after being behind by playing those wide short sides and really playing deep into you with the halfbacks, playing short ball into their back rowers. They come back today and did exactly the same to us.
Can I ask you something completely different? If you don't mind? Next week's Saturday game, Saints against the Roosters.
Yeah.
What can Saints expect from the Aussie champions?
It's difficult to say, not having seen the Roosters play this year. Last year's team, of course, it's a bit different, but you've got no Cooper Cronk and no, what's his name, the big centre, Mitchell.
Lateral Mitchell.
Yeah, Latrell Mitchell. Two very, very important players to that group. I know the Roosters have a lot of depth. I don't know who's injured, who's in the side, who's not in the side. You know.
Even like Flanagan's going to come in and fill Cronk's shoes. They're big shoes, aren't they?
No, he won't do that initially. He's a good kid, but I can't see him filling Cronk's shoes initially.
Will he play next week? Will they run him next week? It's not a trial game.
Look, I don't know. There's talk of Roby coming back. Look, to me, those sorts of games, because you don't actually play grand final side against grand final side, to me at the moment, I think really, I don't know whether it's worthwhile playing anymore.
The competition.
Yeah. Well, you're not only that, you haven't got the same coach for St Helens.
Yeah.
So, you know, unless it's, in the old days, I mean, when I brought Canberra over here way back in '89, although that didn't work either because it was a week after a grand final, a little unfair on whichever sides, but of course, at least you got the same players and the same coach and everyone. In this system now, there could be multiple changes in some of the sides. There has been a lot at St Helens, but of course he's had a couple of injuries and of course you've got a new coach. With Roosters, they've had some changes. An important one will be Cronk for sure, you know, they'll match St Helens for power. It just comes down to the execution of, you know, kids like Lomax, who was put under pressure by Warrington and that shut him down a fair bit. And I think if you go back to when Catalan won the Challenge Cup, they did the same thing. They just attacked in D. Roosters will do a bit of that, so it'll be interesting to see whether or not they can play under those circumstances.
I talked to Aidan Caesar the other night, who played for Canberra.
Yes.
And he said they'll give you 80 minutes. They never stop.
Yeah.
And they give you nothing. They give you very little. Is that?
Yeah, but in saying that, Canberra comes down to one play in Canberra last year. Had the centre passed early, they probably scored and they could have won it. But when Latrell, they went down the other end, Latrell flicked one out, they scored and won it. Just come down to a single play. But you know, that's what you get in the NRL. The top, if you talk about the top five at any level of any competition, this one, there's a difference between the top five and the bottom five, and it's the same right around the world in every competition. You got two top five sides in different competitions, so it could go any way. But again, with key people out and not even the same coach and that, I just wonder whether or not it's a true indication as who's the world champion, if you know what I mean. But it's another game, so, and it'll be a good game, so I'll enjoy it. But I'm not sure of the value of it anymore. You know what I mean?
That's a great answer. Thank you very much.